Hey, I'm live at 85 and no jive. Like a beehive around here. Busy, busy, busy. My name is Jim Ellsman. I'm a lawyer in Birmingham, Michigan. And I come to you on a rather solemn day. Have you ever heard of UVALDE? UVALDE, Texas? Yeah, now you say, well, yeah, you're talking about that happened yesterday. 19 dead children, and they're all about 10 years old. Elementary school. In one room. Almost all Latinos. Very close to the Mexican border. San Antonio. You say, along with the president, that that's a horrible thing. You can't understand it, and you fake sadness. Talk about prayer, praying for everybody. I'm going to bust your chops. With this program. But first of all, let me tell you something about who I am, what this setting is. I'm a lawyer in the state of Michigan. I've been practicing for 60 years. That is a long time to do any profession, any job. I went to University of Michigan for undergrad, University of Michigan for law school. But in the middle, I went to Harvard Divinity School. No, I didn't meet Jesus there. I knew Jesus before. I never told the story, actually. I was probably about 13, 14 years old, and somehow I ended up at a Methodist Sunday school. No, Sunday summer camp. That was it. I can hardly remember the details. Once you meet Jesus, you go a little off kilter for a while. All I remember is that I didn't even drive home. I think I hitchhiked back home, where I was the eldest of 7 children. Just lower middle income family, I would say. Dad worked. I call him a death of a salesman type, if any of you know the literature of Arthur Miller, who was once married to Marilyn Monroe before she was married to Joe DiMaggio. I'm not dropping names. That whole history disgusts me. Because Marilyn used to romp in the pool, they say, with President Kennedy. That's how far back I go. I go way back to, since I'm 85, I go way back to before Pearl Harbor. I remember President Roosevelt, today is a day that will go down in infamy. My mom was crying. My dad was ready to go off to war, and he had 7 kids. It worked out. Like a lot of families, Americans have been so blessed not to know pain from warfare. We hardly lost anybody compared to the Russians, the Germans, Japanese. But life is going on. Several years later, several decades later. This is my law office in Birmingham, Michigan. To get back to the main thread, I'm introducing myself. I'm not going to tell you about Harvard Divinity School. Barf, barf. It's even worse today. Harvard doesn't float with a tough guy like me from the Midwest. Yeah, my buddies are all impressed. Fact is, I've got one buddy, Jim Weber, Bible Jim. He has programs on the same media. He likes to be mentioned because he introduced me to this. And I've been kind of purposely not mentioning him later. I don't want to share my glory with Jim Weber. That's what it amounts to. I'm kind of a self-centered guy. Sorry, Jim. Lord, forgive me. My address, Jim Elsman, Elsman, 625 South Adams, Birmingham, Michigan, 48009. You want to compliment me on the show or torpedo me? Phone, area 248-766-5184. I'm giving you time to write it down. I don't have many friends. I don't know what it is about a lawyer. I've only got one friend that will play tennis with me. Got 85. The Lord is blessed. I'm still out there beating up my knees. My wife likes it. She doesn't like it. We've been married 61 years. Can anybody match that out there? Very few of you are even that old, 61. I've been married for 61 years. I'm not complaining. I'm not going to hang out the dirty washing on this show. My wife is perfect. She doesn't generally watch these broadcasts. So for a while I can get by with it. She's a normal girl, psychologist, clinical. Yeah, she's all you people with mental illnesses. And of course, shrinks get shrunk themselves before they practice. And they are perfect, like my wife. Huh. If she ever sees this program, I'm in trouble. But speaking about mental illness, let's go to the story of the day. The day being, as I look at my calendar, looks like the 25th of May, 2022. When you get to be 85, you get a little bit disoriented. One day blends into another. No, I'm back. Almost took a nap there. Afternoon nap. UVALDE. One thing about that story, everybody's Latino, with few exceptions. The teachers that died, 2 of them, and the 19 kids. There may be some further deaths, so you got a few wounded people in hospitals still. So our great president comes on television last night. I thought I would get great wisdom because he had a 17-hour plane ride back from South Korea and Japan to see what would go into his teleprompter so he could read it, his commentary to the American people assembled. And I thought I would hear something. You never hear Jesus' name from anybody. But I did hear, in the name of God. In the name of God from our president. Who does he think he is? He doesn't even come close to pronouncing in the name of God, quote unquote. He said that about 5 or 6 times. I get offended when God's name is treated in vain. It comes from the 10 Commandments, Exodus 20. 10th chapter. Lord help us. I mean, Joe Biden is a master abortionist. He cares so much about those little children, 19 that were killed in UVALDE. Why doesn't he care about the 60 million babies that have been aborted just since Roe versus Wade? 60 million tortured intentionally, squirming as they were dying from poison or forceps, grabbing them and pulling them out of the womb. I'm not picking on Joe. He's just one of our politicians. Both sides of the aisle. And even the media, they disgust me. They sell papers or get viewers' eyes with their television with sensational events like UVALDE. Anyway, I'm going to call Joe Biden a false prophet right off the bat. I think he should be excommunicated by the Pope, if the Pope had any guts, because the American Catholic Church obviously finances a great deal of the Vatican, just as we finance a great deal of NATO. The Americans are always taking advantage of. And there's Joe everybody was praying, not only for the kids, but that he wouldn't make a political issue, like a Second Amendment issue. Guns. Politicians never miss an opportunity. They never blow an opportunity. He's talking about 19 dead children, and all of a sudden he's wanting to get some guns legislation. Can't you wait a couple of days, Joe? I'm pissed. I'm pissed at you. I don't consider that inappropriate language. It's accepted language today. And Joe just did send $40 billion to the Ukraine. Can he come up with some money for the schools if they need their fencing, single entry, and a guard, either a teacher with a gun or a trained officer of the law? What's my main point? My main point is that I don't want any hypocrisy. People running around saying, oh, this is horrible. That's an expected reaction. If you knew the history of mankind, you would know that Adam committed one sin in the garden. And after that, Katie barred the door. Anything can happen. I mean, there could be atomic war, nuclear war, pestilences, famines. I don't care how safe you think you are from that. A pestilence or a famine can reach you. So can we agree? I love consensus. That mental illness is at the core of UVALDE. There's really nothing that can be done about it. I'm not happy about it. It's very sad. 10-year-old kids. But to completely understand the Bible and biblical history, bad things happen to good people. And that's the Adamic nature of man. Disgusting. And he needs salvation. Yeah, read Romans 10, 9, and 10. That's the essential confession of how you turn your life over to Jesus. But believe me, mumbling a prayer, thinking that alone is going to do it, it won't. You've got to understand the gospel and how, according to Isaiah 53, God sacrificed his own son. It pleased the Lord to bruise him. It'll help you understand events like UVALDE. UVALDE. Oh Lord, help us to understand, not to be deceived by false prophets or our lack of understanding of the scriptures.